Valentina, you have 15 minutes to present. After the presentation, you'll have a seat and you'll receive questions from the commission.
Okay. So, good afternoon, professor. Good afternoon, Nicole. Today I will present you my research study that is named The Use of Figural Humor as a Pedagogical Technique in an EFL Adult Education Setting. Okay, to start with, I'll start mentioning the background information. The place in which this study was carried out is Universidad Santo Tomás here in Santiago. The course was composed by 18 students for different programs. It was a basic English 1 with 2 pedagogical hours per week on Mondays and on Thursdays. And this study was developed in 3 different lessons of about 20 or 30 minutes. Okay. The main problem of this that I could identify is that there was a lack of engagement and considering some practical considerations. First, the student didn't ask questions. The student didn't respond to the teacher's general question, even though they had right answers, or they did it but with a very low tone of voice. And the activities were about completing worksheets and using the cursor. But the student laughed at the teacher's jokes. So this situation changed a little bit that atmosphere full of silence. Okay, the great knowledge of this study is that there are many studies related to the area of humor, but most of them are from the interpretive perspective, in which researchers only want to understand the phenomena. Why students think about the use of humor of their professors. Therefore, the purpose of this study is to determine how the use of figural humor, such as pictures, cartoons, and short videos, influence engagement in a group of young adult EFL learners. The main question is, how does the use of figural humor influence engagement in a group of young adult EFL learners? And the main objective refers to the purpose, that is to determine how the use of figural humor, such as pictures, cartoons, and short videos, influence engagement in a group of young adult EFL learners. From this general objective, 3 specific objectives could emerge. The first one is to identify initial level of engagement and interest toward the lesson. The second one is to identify the levels of learners' engagement after having applied figural humor-based material. And the last one is to determine students' opinions about the influence the figural humor-based material has on the engagement toward the lesson. It's expected that participation and engagement will increase when using humor inside the classroom. And this can be supported by Tober, who states that using humor invites students to take risks in the classroom because it softens the blow of failure, it also builds rapport, and inspires students to participate. These are the concepts that are related to my study. First, we have English as a foreign language, that it is taught in school, in this case institutions, often widely, but it does not play an essential role in national or social life. Also, we have English in adult education. And Rogers referred to EFL in adult education, saying that there are 3 main purposes in which adults learn English. The first one is to succeed in the business area, as a sign of pleasure, and because the program requires this. Engagement can be defined as the student's investment of time, effort, and interest in a range of educationally oriented activities and favorable outcomes such as increased performance, persistence, and satisfaction. And also there are 3 types of engagement: behavioral, emotional, and cognitive. But in this opportunity, I'll work with these 2 because with these 2 I could observe participation, attention, and the student's reaction. Humor is anything done or said purposefully or inadvertently that is found to be comical or amusing. And also shades suggest 4 types of humor: figural humor, verbal humor, visual humor, and auditory humor. In this opportunity, I work with figural humor that is related to funny images, such as comic books, cartoons, or funny videos. The use of humor is a pedagogical technique. It represents the effectiveness of communicative classroom scenes. It helps avoid classroom monotony and anxiety, as well as it allows the students self-esteem, self-confidence to arise. And also Berg says that humor can bring dead and boring content to life. the paradigm that was used in this opportunity is critical paradigm, and Gonzalez set its definition and characteristic by mentioning its social nature, in which human beings are creators of their own reality, and that this paradigm has a transformational condition. And also Bravo states and makes emphasis to the responsibility of the researcher in this paradigm, in which he has to take action, practice, and change. It follows a qualitative approach. It is defined by Ruiz, who said that qualitative studies follow a main objective by reconstructing and capturing meaning in an holistic way. And also, it followed the patterns of an actual research proposed by Everett and Rabi that also consider the three main elements: action, practice, and change, but in 6 different stages. First, identify the issue or problem. That in this opportunity was the lack of engagement. Then, gathering background information by using the literature. That in this opportunity, the literature helped me to know that humor was an option to use. Designing the study and planning. Collecting data. Analyzing and interpreting data. And writing, sharing, and implementing findings. I think it's worth showing you the material that I implemented in the lesson very quickly. There that you very famous cartoon and very popular by young in the young context. So means I use this material to introduce grammatical structure, new grammatical structure, and also I could modify some dialogues from the course book and put it into this comic strip. Okay, so the scenario is the following. At the beginning, there were 18 students for different programs at UST. Nevertheless, the average of attendance was 8 or 12 students. All these students were under observation, but I only interviewed 6 of them that were those who attended the 3 lessons. The data collection materials use observation and interviews. And regarding the data analysis plan, I used data triangulation proposed by Flip that considered open coding, actual coding, and selective coding. And regarding the consideration of trustworthiness, we can ensure trustworthiness in the paradigm with truth, value, applicability, consistency, and neutrality. Regarding the truth value will be given by the educational context in which these lessons were implemented. The applicability will be defined by the free adjustment of lesson plans. Consistency will be given because all the population was understudied, and neutrality will be given in the analysis stage. Regarding the design stage, I consider all the community understudy, but I purposefully selected some students. And my material received a vast amount of feedback from experts on the area, and I tried not to fall into the observance paradox, Hawthorne effect, and halo effect. And regarding the analysis stage proposed by Hernandez and Baptista, I can ensure to afford them by triangulation, cross-checking, and comparing with theory. So here is my analysis. I created two different matrices, one for the observation, another for the interviews, with the same categories. The same categories could emerge: participation, attention, and reactions. And also, the same subcategories or similar subcategories could emerge regarding to participation, regarding to concentration, retention and learning, sense of enjoyment, anxiety, and students' perception and comments. The description of findings. Okay, the use of these materials allows student motivation, increase students' motivation to actively and voluntarily participate in the lessons. Also, it catches students' attention, maybe because they could be familiar with it. Also, students said that those funny moments of the class could be better remembered. There was a sense of lesson enjoyment in the class, who also helped to create this ideal classroom atmosphere, reducing anxiety. And also, I could find that there are certain moments when applying this technique. We don't have to overuse it, because it can be disruptive for the students. Regarding the limitation of this study, there was a lack of attendance. There was very little time for the interventions, only 20 minutes. I would like to have maybe a whole lesson to intervene. The number of interventions only were 3 interventions. Distance availability to do the focus group because at the beginning I considered to do a focus group in order that the students could negotiate meaning together. But because of student availability, I couldn't do it. And that creating material using humor is very time consuming. And suggestion for further research, that please try to consider the focus group, as I said before, because the student can negotiate and create knowledge and meaning together. It could be a good idea to have an external note taker. We have to be careful with sarcasm and the overuse of the technique. And maybe it could be considered more in deeply language intake or language learning. Not only engagement, but how these images can influence the learning or the intake of language of the students. So the contributions could be that students would feel more capable of participating in the English lesson. This study will determine if this technique can be useful to apply in a Chilean young adult context and if it is suitable for it. And also, it might influence teachers, not only English teachers, to apply this technique in any subject in order to innovate. The metacognitive analysis. Regarding the internship experience, I could refer to some positive points in that I tried to foster the participation of everybody. Also, a positive but a negative point at the same time is that I think I have the ability to create and adapt material considering student needs and interests. But at the same time, it is very time consuming for me. I spend a lot of time doing this. Also, another point is the use of translation. Sometimes when I saw that my students weren't getting what I was saying, I used translation instead of using another technique. Therefore, my challenge is to find out strategies when it comes to planning in order to save time. So, regarding the research study, positive aspect is that together with seminar, I try to think about a study which fulfill my ideologies when teaching. and something that I can learn about and that I could contribute to my students' development and learning process. And a negative point, and that is a talent, that is also a talent, is the time management. I strongly consider that I couldn't manage my time when doing the research. If I had controlled it, I would have done a better work with this. So I have to work on this. And this is my presentation.
Thank you very much.